So this week, when it came to studying, this is how I studied the week of June 24th for Arabic. This is a language that I've been learning on and off for like a year now, but it's been a while, probably 3 or 4 months since I really took a deep dive into it. So my skills have kind of fallen off. With that said, what I went ahead and did is I took the method I have for learning languages and I just went back and reviewed it. Last week I got in 3 days of study. The first day was with doing just method number Monday was when I did step number 1 of the method, right? Which I'm going to go over with you guys here shortly. Day number 2 was reviewing as well, looking at step number 2, and day number 3 was looking at step number 3. Just to review, awaken the memory. I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of what I was still able to do and what I could remember, so that was cool. And then on day 4, which was last Friday when I studied, it was just a review, just going back over what I looked at, coming up with new sentences, practices, and things in my head. It was a lot shorter. The rest of them were an hour. The one on Friday was like half an hour. It's really short, to the point, a little reading. Right? So let's look at what exactly I did. So step number 1, and I've got it all laid out here for if I'm like learning a new language, but since this language I've already done, I kind of skipped some things. I went through the alphabet, and then I went through the basic phrases, right? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, how are you, hello, goodbye, the basics, right? That I'm gonna need as I'm dropped into, let's say, Jordan or Egypt or Morocco. What are the basic words, right? The basic pleasantries, right? Hello, how are you? Thank you, please, slower, right? Then I went into and reviewed the idea of gender and articles, right? So Arabic is super easy. The word a just doesn't exist, right? The word il is the, right? Kind of like el in Spanish, very similar. And like a lot of actual languages, the a sound, the sound at the end, something like that, depending on the language, is typically an indicator that it's feminine. In Arabic, it holds true here as well, right? And my trick, especially in the beginning, is I just assume everything is masculine when it comes to like adjectives and things like that. And then if it's incorrect, I'll get that correction. Right? Not too worried about it. Didn't really worry about the word order. It's for the most part the same as English, right? Subject, verb, object. The only difference is that like the object goes attached to the end. Like I love you, the love you part would be like smushed together essentially. Right? I reviewed the subjects. This one I did really well. Knew what these were. Didn't have a problem with these. Right? I skipped the basic scenarios. I'm not gonna lie, but I did look at my. I did skip the basic phrases. I did skip the basic scenarios. I'm not gonna lie, just because I didn't really need them at this point. I'm a little bit past this already. I did it when I originally learned it, but because I was in Morocco. But because I'm doing just review now, I chose to skip it and went to review the present tense, right? So I looked at the conjugations first, right? Then I took my first 20 or 30 verbs, right, off my list, and I just practiced the conjugations, just like I was saying. If you watched my present tense video on my channel, I just practiced the conjugations to begin with. Bagul, betkul, betkuli, betkul, like all of them, just practice it, right? Once we've done that, start coming up with some short sentences, right? And I oftentimes choose to put the word with the definition and then write my sentence, right? Ana bafam Arabiya, right? I understand Arabic, right? Is what I'm saying here. That's not true at all, but they don't know that. Then I went into basic directions, up, down, left, right, northeast, southwest. That's a little bit of overkill. You don't actually have to do that one. and then here and there, hunna, hunnak, right? Went into basic clothing, right? I have like a little graphic here saved that I use to find a lot of these things, as far as sweater, shirt, kamis, fustan, jacket, blusa, pantalon, right? These basic words. And I got a couple of verbs as well. Go shopping, look for, sell, return, right? Looked at my numbers 1 through 20. I'm still really bad at this. I get up to about 10 and get confused. That's okay, it's part of the game. And then the colors, which I felt pretty good with up. I got the first 5. Ahmar, Akhdar, Aswad, Azraq, and Asfar. Please correct my pronunciation down below. What words am I messing up in Arabic? Right? The rest of these, navy, gray, white, forgot. Big and small I knew. Kabir, Sakhari, Sakhayir, Sakhrair, Sakhrair, something like that. Please correct my pronunciation. I want to hear it. Then day 2, I looked at step 2. I went back and reviewed my verbs and then started just coming up with sentences off the top of my head. I wanted to just see what I could come up with creatively. Most of it was around shopping or food and different colors, right? And here, I also started to work in the rest of the subjects. I moved away from just Anna, I, to the rest of them, you, he, she, we. Right? Looked at my question words, right? This, that, here, there. Here, there, I already had on a prior slide, so I didn't put them there. Present progressive, important to learn. Most Arabic, or well, some Arabic doesn't have it. The Levantine Arabic does, so I include it. And please correct my pronunciation. Let me know where I'm messing up. Looked at more verbs, practiced just more conjugations, right? Practicing here the present progressive because that's what I was working on that day, right? And trying to fit all of the sentences and all of the verbs into different sentences. Right? Then looked at family, looked at jobs, right? This is stuff that I need to review here this week. And then some basic adjectives. This is all, now that I'm looking at it, stuff I'm going to put on top to review next week. And then on Thursday, which is when I did day 3, I did step 3. I looked at the future tense, practiced some conjugations, learned some new verbs, right? I think that in the beginning, the verbs are so important because, you know, there's only so many, if you have 5 verbs, there's only so many, if you have 5 verbs, I think that verbs are like the most important when it comes to learning another language, because if you have, you know, only 5 verbs, it doesn't matter how much you can actually talk about, who you can talk about, all the jobs they have, and like we only have 4 things we can talk about, right? So I place a huge focus on acquiring verbs from the very beginning, because it also lets you say a lot more. It also lets you carry on more complex conversations, more complex ideas, even though we're talking pretty simply, than you would if you had a bunch of other words but not any verbs. Right? Took a look at time. This includes just like the basic time words: today, al-yum, mera, yesterday, bukra, tomorrow, right? Minute, hour, whatever. And then also the days and the months, right? And then I did a little bit of practice with future plans using the future tense, trying to include the words next, last, talking about the days, the months I was going to do it in, right? Same thing here, just a little bit more practice with other subjects, more practice, right? And then likes and dislikes, I did not get to. That's going to be for next week, right? And then on Friday, I just reviewed and took a look at everything, ran back through it, tried to come up with sentences, didn't learn anything new, reviewed vocab, and just wrote some sentences real fast. I didn't have as much time on that day. But yeah, so this is how I have studied Arabic in week 1 in order to kind of reawaken things, get the brain moving, right? If you got any corrections for the Arabic, please leave them down below. And if you're studying a language, let me know what you're studying below. And click here to watch another video. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.